Hello folks, and welcome back to another episode of Philosophagery. Today I'm on the island of Inishbofin, and I want to talk about something that I've been thinking about talking about for a while now, but I haven't for one reason or another. But I was walking up Galway Shop Street there a couple of weeks ago. It was a Sunday evening. It was about 7 o'clock, still kind of bright. I was hustling up the town, walking at a pace, and I saw these two young guys, somewhere between 12 and 14, walking towards me, and I seen one of them make a movement like that, and I didn't know what had happened, and they scurried past me laughing, and then I heard a bang, and it was a Lucozade bottle which had liquid in it. It was at least half full. The guy had lobbed it up, and it had fallen down, and I don't know did it hit their back or just missed them, but there was this couple. They looked like their heritage may have been India or Pakistan or Bangladesh or somewhere around that area, and it just missed them, and the kids had gone off scurrying down through the crowd, and the woman looked distressed. She turned around and she was kind of angry. Why? And the man was trying to console her. They were a very handsome young couple. They were maybe in their mid-30s. They looked like one of them could be a doctor and the other could be a lawyer. They were well dressed, well put together. And it really broke my heart, because I see why the young lads threw that at them. They threw that at them because they have this idea of immigrants in their head, and that it's okay to do things like that to people who are different or of a different colour or a different culture. I caught the guy's eye, and I just apologetically said, "Sorry, stupid kids." That's all I could come up with in the moment. And he just nodded his head, and his wife put her head in his shoulders, and he was consoling her at the time. But they were visibly upset, and understandably upset. And so, I want to talk about immigration and our attitudes to it. I guess I'll tell you my own story first, about being Irish. I was born in Bromley, England. Now, as I like to joke, it's not my fault. I was very young at the time. But I was born to two immigrants. My mother was from Connemara, just across the bay over there. And my father's from the bottom of a mountain in Mayo, very close to the Atlantic too, but closer to a lake called Beltraw. And both of them immigrated from Ireland and went to England looking for a better life, looking to earn some money, because Ireland was really shit then, economically, socially. So they met in London, and they have 5 children now, but my oldest brother, my older sister, and myself were born in England, and my younger brother and younger sister were born here in Ireland. So that's how I came about. Am I Irish under how some people try to see it these days? Maybe I'm not, but I think I'm Irish. We moved back here when I was about 3 months old, and we moved back when I was about 8 until I was about 12, something like that. And we moved back here again, and I've been here since. Irish passport. I'm Irish, as far as I can. I don't know what else I could be. I could call myself English, but nobody wants to do that. But so when this being a children of economic immigrants, economic migrants, being a child of them, I have a certain disposition towards immigrants, a certain sensibility towards immigrants, because I see myself as a product of immigration. My parents might never have met. I might never be here if it wasn't for Irish immigration, Irish people trying to move from something crap to something better, And that brings us around to the conversations that that we see today around immigration. Now, I understand that it's not problemless immigration. It's not like it's not causing any difficulties here in Ireland. It is. It's putting our services under a lot of pressure, and I understand that. And also, there's a lot of profiteering going on when it comes to immigrants and the hotels and stuff that they're being put up in. So there's a certain class of people in Ireland that are making incredible amounts of money out of this. And the rest of the people are kind of just suffering the pressure on the services. So I get why people are angry, because it's not evenly spread how immigration is affecting Ireland. It's not evenly spread at all. Me personally, I'm okay with Ireland taking a bit of pain to help immigrants. I think because being an immigrant for me is part of my Irish identity. I don't see how we can separate Irish identity from immigration, being that, you know, it's such a big part of our history, a massive part of our history. Even in the Irish Declaration of Independence, there you have mentions of our brethren abroad. You know, they got there because they immigrated, because it was shit here. Now we're lucky enough that it's really good here. You know, it's economically really good, and a lot of people want to come here, and that's understandable, because that's what we did when it was shit here and other places were good. We left. You know, we left. And that's what people are doing now. People who are looking for better lives, people who are looking for safety. That's mostly why people are coming here. And there is people coming here who are from war zones, who are from different cultures, who are possibly traumatized and have social issues. And guess what? The Irish had all them things too when we left. I love when people say to me, yeah, but the Irish worked. I'm like, have you got a Deliveroo lately? Have you got a cleaner lately? Have you got a taxi lately? Have you seen who works on building sites lately? I mean, immigrants work. That's what they do. Now, of course, there's going to be some who come here and take the free houses, etc., etc. But we can't hate all immigrants. We can't have our children throwing Lucozade bottles at people who are a different colour just because we feel unfairly done by. That's not an answer. We can have a sensible discussion around immigration without it turning into that, without it turning into burning down IPAF centres. Because I understand people's issues with the structures around immigration. But that doesn't mean anything about the immigrants that are coming here. And I hear a lot of arguments about we're losing our culture is being diluted. These are American fucking arguments as well. Ireland lost most of its culture when we lost our language. That is the truth. Most of our kind of individual culture. Now, I'm not saying we don't have a culture here. We absolutely do have a culture here. And when I ask people, what culture are we losing? I get accused of dismissing culture. I'm not dismissing culture. I'm just asking what culture is being diluted and impacted by immigration. I mean, is it our singing? Is it our songwriting? Is it our GAA? What parts of the culture are being hampered by immigration? I don't see any particular parts. If anything, I think they're becoming regenerated through immigration, because the Irish people are trying to show our own identity, you know what I mean? So I definitely don't think that immigration is diluting our culture. I think if you want to find out what's diluted our culture, I think you need to look at social media. I think you need to look at Google. I think you need to look at YouTube. I think you need to look at these, because they are what has diluted and homogenized culture across the Western world, not just Ireland. So that's why we have very young Irish people now talking in American accents. It's not immigrants that did that. No. It's social media. It's technology. And another point I want to make is Irish people have travelled, not just in the immigration through the famine and through hard times like my parents did, but we travelled for adventure. We travelled because we want to see the world. We travelled because we want to experience different cultures. We travelled because it's now possible. It hasn't been possible for hundreds of years to travel the way that we travel now. Like, I can get from one end of the world to the other end of the world with my phone and a few bob. That's the way it is now. I can communicate to somebody in Australia or South America instantly and see them talking as they talk to me and I talk to them. It's amazing. But how do we not think that this is going to cause immigration? Do we think this was all just for us? This wasn't just for us. Of course other people can now travel too. Of course other people can now visit other cultures too. This is you know, what's behind me over there is, I don't know if you can see it. I'll put up another video closer to it. But that's a barracks built by Cromwell's army back in 1680 or something like that. Because like Galway, Inishbofin was one of the last holdouts for the royalists. As in, we wanted the royal family, the Catholic royal family, to be sure. I think it was James II, was it? We wanted the Catholic king, whereas Cromwell and his boys, his army, they wanted parliamentary democracy. So we were fighting against parliamentary democracy back then for the English king, which is, people seem to forget that, but that's where we were at back then. But this Inishbofin was one of the last holdouts. But it eventually came under conquest of Cromwell's army, and they set up that barracks over there. That barracks, a lot of the Catholic clergy were locked in there and imprisoned in there. And one of them, I think he was a bishop, was tied to one of the rocks, and all his fellow clergymen were made to watch as the tide came in and drowned him. This is the behaviour of colonialists. This is the behaviour of a culture that believes it's exceptional and better than other cultures. This is the behaviour and the mindset of humans who don't see all other humans as of equal value. And that is the mindset that Ireland stood up against. That is the mindset that is embedded in colonialism. But the Irish Rebellion or Revolution or whatever you want to call it, it formed an identity against that kind of thinking. The Irish weren't saying Ireland is Irish and Irish only. That's not what the Irish were saying. The Irish were saying the Irish should be treated as equals in their own land, in this land of Ireland. We're equals. We're not less than. Nobody is less than. We were following the French Revolution, the rights of man. That's where we got our inspiration and some help. So we were fighting for equality, fraternity, liberty. They were the things we were fighting for and arguing for. We weren't saying the Irish are the best, you know. And nowadays, it seems we're asking questions about who counts as Irish. What is it to be Irish? But what is it to be Irish? Are you Irish because you were born here? I wasn't born here. Are you Irish because your parents were born here? That gets tricky too. Are you Irish because you speak the language? Are you Irish because you love Ireland? What is it now that we're saying makes somebody Irish? And more importantly, what are we saying makes people not Irish? Who are the people we're saying are not welcome? Who are the people we're saying we're full? Them conversations, while they look good in slogans, we're full, Ireland for the Irish, look after your own. When you get into the nitty-gritty of that, who counts as your own? Who counts as Irish? It starts getting really difficult to draw lines around Irishness, around who is Irish. So be careful with those arguments and look deeply into them. Go down the rabbit hole with them. Say, okay, let's imagine we decide Ireland is for the Irish. Let's imagine that. Now let's draw lines. Who counts and who doesn't? And how do we clarify one from the other? Because that gets quite tricky, and very soon you turn into a fascist type fucking state. That is just what happens. It's very much almost happening in America with these birthright citizenship that's been challenged in the Supreme Court. I mean, if that goes through, if you're no longer a citizen of America because you were born there, what does that mean for people who are going to be questioned about their American citizenship when having a birth cert no longer means you're American? You see, these things, while they might seem good on paper and they're emotionally salient in this current atmosphere and climate that we're in, when you get down to the nitty-gritty, it turns into something else real fast. Real fast. Yeah. For me, as I said, I am sympathetic to immigrants. Of course I am. That's part of my Irish identity. I don't see how you can have an Irish identity and say you're not sympathetic to immigrants, that you don't understand. Why don't they just go home, send them home? These kind of words are not, they were what has historically been spoken to the Irish. They're not normally what comes from the Irish. Not my Irish identity, anyways. Not the ideals that are held in that flag and that green, white and gold. That green, white and gold is about solidarity despite differences. That green, white and gold is not about one tribe winning over the other. It's about tribes coming together and understanding that we can have different cultures and we can still get on, we can still live together. Yeah, so I guess what I really want to say is, when I see people holding up the Irish flag, when I see people waving it, and they're also shouting anti-immigrant sentiments, and they're also being hateful, them two kids who threw the Lucasade bottle, I mean, they're kids, but where did they get the idea that that was okay? And don't try telling me it was just an accident, they didn't mean to target them brown people. Yes, they absolutely did. Let's get real. And also, let's have a sensible conversation about immigration. One that doesn't turn into one side calling the other people just full of hate, and then the other side just saying, oh, you're woke. Like, let's have a sensible conversation without it ending up in that toxic conversation that has no sense, makes no sense. Yeah, let's talk about economics. But people are much more than just an economic unit, and they can't just be treated like that. And for me, even if helping refugees and helping immigrants come to Ireland costs Ireland a bit, if it does put pressure on our services and things like that, I'm okay with that. I think Ireland kind of owes that to the world, you know. We've been going everywhere for a long time. Like, what did they say? The English took over the world with armies and the Irish took it over with song. We certainly did. And much as Churchill said, I know history shall look favourably upon me because I shall be the one writing it, the Irish wrote their own songs too, you know, and we're all heroes and victims. That's in most of our songs, you know what I mean? So, but that's not true, you know. There was plenty. We took part in plenty of that colonialism, and if you want to look back through history and look at Irish people that took part in what happened in America, in North America, there was many Irish people that took part in that. Many Irish people that took part in what happened in India, and many Irish people that were officers in the British Army that was conducting these colonial expeditions and these genocides. Our hands ain't as clean as we like to think, really. But our identity is built on standing against that. Our flag is built on standing against that. Standing against that kind of thinking. So let's stay Irish, you know? Let's stay fighting the colonial powers. Let's stay helping people who need help. When the Irish travel around the world, and particularly in the Middle East now, we're so accepted, we're so respected. And it's not because we're like the English. It's not because we're like the Americans. It's not because we're like the French or Italians or Germans. It's because we're different. It's because our identity is anti-colonial. Our identity is about liberty. Our identity is about equality and treating every human as worthy of rights, of humanity. Yeah, so I think this was a good place to record this. As I said, that barracks over there is quite an important part of Ireland's story, of Ireland's identity. So when you call yourself Irish, think, what do I mean by that? What does that mean to me, to be Irish?